It's time to stop. It's time to look out for each other in the distance. Time to stare humanity in the eyes. To take a break for the world. It's time to stop. Time to make a pause so we can play again. To think of everyone and meet no one. To reset, recenter, switch off, to move on. Time to change our little world. To calibrate the path of mankind. It's time to stop. We are meant to connect and we are stronger together. But separated, we are today more united than ever. And for now, our main strength is to be apart. It's time to stop. Nature, landscapes, beaches and monuments aren't going anywhere. They will still be there waiting for a better time to be lived. And we must do the same for a while. It's time to stop. The perfect time not to visit anything. Sometimes to rise is to stand still. It's time to stop. Stop and think of ourselves. Think of everyone else too. It's time to stop and refocus as a whole for all. It's time to understand and respect our times. Respect one another. The faster we stop, the sooner we will bond again. It's time to dream of those amazing days to come. For when those days arrive, we will say again.
Aloha and good morning, or good evening, or good night. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz. I'm joining you from Livestream.travel and eTober News, and for the World Tourism Network here from Hawaii. Today we have guests from all over the world attending our keynote panel. Earlier today, our time today, your time maybe yesterday, we had our launch, and you find our launch event already in archive on our website at WTN.travel. And it will be playing constantly for the next weeks or so, also on eTober News together with all our sessions. Today we have a very interesting keynote event. And before we get started, I wanted to especially welcome Her Excellency Sheika Mai Bint Mohammed Khalifa, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, joining us from Bahrain. She is currently running to become the next Secretary General for the World Tourism Organization. So she will be on the panel, and I will introduce the rest of the panel members after this. Before we get started with the panel, I'd like to say just a few words about World Tourism Network, because this is the second launch event. As I said, our first event was this morning, and many of you, it was in the middle of the night, and I realize not everyone can attend at 2 or 3 in the morning, except one of our guests from New York, and I'm sure he's here again, and he's joining. I think he joined us with every event, and we had 10 of them already on this network. World Tourism Network is a organization. What I think we tackled the COVID before anyone else in the world, because together with PATA, Rebuilding.travel was launched at the ITB trade show this year. The only problem was ITB never happened. But we had a small group of people. Dove, I think he's on this platform from Israel, was one of them. And I think we had a very first discussion on the outlook for the coronavirus, not knowing what was really hitting us. And Rebuilding.travel has been an ongoing discussion on the eTober News platform now for several months. And we were able to get people from more than 120 countries on board. And it's now time to structure this a little bit. And that's really what we're doing with World Tourism Network. World Tourism Network is an organization, and we see ourselves to help medium and small-sized businesses to get on a global platform with their needs. And for this, we've been able to gather a team of experts and tourism celebrities, but also tourism owners in the medium and small size business. Among our, one of our best supporters is Taleb Rifai, the former Secretary General for UNWTO. He will be on the panel and will address you. And also Dr. Peter Tarlow, my partner who's in Texas and won't be able to join us now. It's in the middle of the night in Texas. But currently, just to give you an overview, we have very close to 1,000 members. We have now 992 members. And we also have some observers. These are not members, and that actually would bring us over the 1,000 mark. And we're in 124 countries right now, countries and territories. We don't go politically and see what country is recognized or not recognized. We're non-political. And so we have been, I think we're starting to get a quite important role in this discussion. And together with our media partner, like my own publication, eTurbo News, we'll be able to get our message out. We're concentrating on events we have been facilitating on this platform. We'll be doing a lot more. But in the structure and process of this organization, what we're doing is building this organization from the bottom up. That means chapters, local chapters, should be in the driver's seat of this organization, and we as a global setup are there to support these chapters on a global platform. There are geographical chapters, there could be cities, there could be countries, there could be regions, but there are also interest groups like aviation. We have a few of them, and I will introduce them as we go along, because some of the leaders who are leading the initial groups we have are here today. And we wanted to give everyone, before we start with the panel, probably just if you can limit it to just 1 or 2 minutes to say hello. Before we get there, however, I'd like to give the microphone to Dr. Taleb Rifai, our patron and co-host for all of our events. And Taleb, without your support, World Tourism Network wouldn't be here. And thank you for this, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Jürgen. Actually, it's you that we have to thank. Without you, this would have never been a reality and a fact. I was very proud to be with you yesterday. It was a wonderful event in launching WTN. Now, why are we here today? I want to recognize 2 very important people, Geoffrey Lipman and Zoltan Samouchi. Zoltan, thank you for being with us. I didn't see you before. Yeah, you have to unmute yourself if you want to say something, Zoltan. Geoffrey, thank you so much for being with us. I'm mentioning these 2 people because these people were with me in UNWTO when I was there 4 years ago. UNWTO is a wonderful organization, and it's now passing through a difficult time. I must admit to you, 10 minutes ago, I had a call from my daughter. She's living in Dubai. She said, please, Father, don't come across as a bitter person. I'm not bitter at all, believe me. I'm just here to say that I care about this organization because I care about tourism. Tourism to me is like a lady that came to me late in my life. You fall in love with it. I did not spend all my life working in tourism, but to me, it's a very important sector. Tourism, as Geoffrey always says, is our future. And our future is connected to what tourism does to the environment, to our future. Yes, Geoffrey, I completely agree with you. And thank you for your support every time. Now, why am I here? Because of Sheika Mai. Sheika Mai is a wonderful and capable person. I knew her a long time ago. Those of you that know her would remember that she worked together with us when I was still in UNWTO. She was our ambassador for sustainable tourism. I believe in her. I believe that what's happening in UNWTO today is something that needs to hold the attractions of everybody. That's why I'm here. In addition to the fact that I want to be part of WTN. WTN is a wonderful organization, speaks for the little people, speaks for the small and medium-sized enterprises. We have UNWTO speaking for governments, WTC speaking for big businesses. We don't have anybody speaking for the small guys in this world. And the guys that are like us, individuals. It's a network. It's not an organization, it's a network. You organize, see it as such. It's something that gathers us together, a big family, a family of travel and tourism. Walter Mzembi, thank you so much for being with us today as well. Thank you. I owe you a lot, Walter. You know that we'll talk about this as we go along today. Thank you so much. I don't want to take much of your time. I think we should start right ahead with our panel discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taleb. And I really wanted to emphasize, I will introduce our...
Geoffrey wants to say a word.
Oh, I'm sorry, Geoffrey, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to pick up on Taleb and say, first of all, Taleb, it's good that you listen to your children. I'm glad to see that.
Yes.
I also worked for WTO for 10 years with both Taleb and Francesco Frangeli. I echo everything that Taleb says, and I think it's a pivotal moment again when there's an opportunity to do the right thing or the wrong thing. And I think Taleb and Francesco, who I value my relationship with both of them, they were both excellent leaders of this fantastically good organization, have set out a public position. And I joined them on this, firstly, because I'm happy to stand alongside these two men, but secondly, because I think we need to get a decent process and a decent slate of candidates because, as I said yesterday in the introductory session, we've got two crises. We've got the COVID crisis, which everybody's rightly responding to, and tourism is at the center of because we are a potential spreader if we don't get it right. And we've got the climate crisis, and tourism is particularly vulnerable, particularly small and medium enterprises in developing countries. So I'm happy to be a part of this exercise, and I stand alongside Taleb and Francesco Frangeli in the call for a fair and decent and logical process. Everybody is postponing things because of the pandemic. It's irrational that UNWTO wants to move with indecent haste. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah, thank you very much, Geoffrey. And since you brought this up, I just wanted to also let everyone know that Louis Damour, who joined us this morning from the founder of Peace Through Tourism, is not going to join us tonight. It's simply too long of a day. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning in New York, but he sent a letter actually in support of the letter Taleb and Geoffrey and Francesco wrote for the UNWTO process. And we at eTurbo News actually just published it. I just wanted to mention this. Now, I really, since we're going to be busy with the panel, and this is what we're here, but we have the opportunity to introduce our chapter presidents and also those that run our interest groups. There are not that many. I wanted to just say hello and maybe give you the opportunity, just 1 or 2 minutes to say something. Let's start with Alexandra Galizevic. Alexandra is joining us from Montenegro. She actually has our oldest chapter, the chapter, we call it the Balkan chapter. And thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Alexandra.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I won't take much of your time because we are going to be quite busy today. So I just would like to say that I'm very honored to be in charge of the Balkan chapter. And as you know, we are at the edge of Europe, but we are somehow not to be bitter, as Mr. Taleb just mentioned, but we are at the edge of everything somehow. So Balkan has 11 countries, and somehow all of the countries or most of the countries failed to do proper marketing destination under COVID conditions. So we are here, and due to that, small and medium-sized businesses have failed to and are failing to survive somehow. And that's why WTN is here, and I really trust that we will make a change and support our small and medium-sized businesses because they are those who suffer the most and who need the most help. So,
Thank you very much.
we are having, just to mention, sorry, Jürgen, we are having a panel about Balkan on Friday evening. So I will be happy to see you there if possible. Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and anyone who wanted to join any of our upcoming sessions, we have the Balkan and many others, just go to WTN.travel, click on the blue banner or on the link for the expo, and you can register for all our sessions, and they're all going to be interesting. I don't know if HM Hakim Ali is here and wanted to say a few words. He's running our chapter in Bangladesh. Hakim, can you unmute yourself? Okay, Hakim, I think you may have problems with the system.
Connection.
So let's move on. Vicky Evangelio from Greece. I don't think she's joining us. She joined us this morning. We have Mai Uri from Liberia. I don't see her online. There are problems with the computer system in Liberia, understood. But I think we have Rudy Herman here. Rudy, are you here? Well, Rudy is in.
Jürgen?
Yes, Rudy, are you here?
No, this is not Rudy. This is Elijah. This is from Etnan.
Okay, Rudy is here. He's coming in right. No, it's not him. Okay.
I think Aziz is there from Bangladesh. He just said something, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. Can you do this
Are
again?
you there, Aziz?
Okay.
No, I was mistaken.
Let's move on. Rudy actually did a video, and you can find the video already uploaded on our website with his greeting. He has done a lot of work. He started a LinkedIn group in Malaysia and has been very active. We have then Susan Sheet. She's not joining us in the middle of the night. She's our chapter in Washington, D.C. And but we have Arvind Naya, I believe. I saw him just a minute ago. And he is in charge for our chapter in Zimbabwe. Welcome, Arvind. Arvind, can you unmute yourself, please?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We hear you now. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be chosen as chapter head for Zimbabwe. I will do my level best to live up to the expectations of each and every associate member of this organization. My sincere apologies about last night. I had serious challenges with the internet, which was taking place from day before yesterday. I welcome each and everybody with open arms to Zimbabwe, known as Zimbabwe's Africa's paradise. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to say a few words on this platform.
Thank you very much. And also, we have confirmed today our chapter in Saudi Arabia, and that's under the leadership of Her Royal Highness Dr. Abdulaziz bin Nasser Al Saud. And I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong. These are names, they're quite difficult for Germans living in Hawaii. But welcome very much. And this was all set up by Raed. I don't know if Raed is joining us here today. I don't think he is, but I think I mentioned all of this. And from the interest groups, we have Vijay, who is joining us from Singapore. Welcome, Vijay.
Thank you, Jürgen, and greetings, everyone, old friends and new friends. WTN's Aviation Interest Group, which I have the honor to chair, will provide a safe space for travel and tourism stakeholders to air their views about the most significant aviation challenges and how to address them. So please join us on our inaugural panel entitled Plane Talk, on 17 December at 3 p.m. Singapore time for a candid discussion on the aviation challenges in relation to COVID-19 and to the environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let me just try one more thing. Okay, then we have Geoffrey Lipman already spoke earlier. He will be running our interest group for green and clean voice. You want to say a word about this, Geoffrey?
Sorry, Thomas.
Unmute yourself. Yes, we can hear
Sorry,
you.
Thomas, can you repeat that? I didn't get
No,
it.
I said you're running our interest group for green and clean voice. I think you already addressed it, but I wanted to be fair to give you the opportunity to say something.
Our panel, I'm also being on Vijay's panel, and our panel is going to be essentially not quite as broad. It's going to be Susanna Becken and myself. I think Vijay, it's immediately after yours, or it's immediately before yours. It's immediately after yours. Vijay is nodding. And Susanna Beckham is probably the best research and thinking person, I think, on climate and tourism. And I'm going to have an interview discussion with her, and we'll be able to take question and answers. And we will put a focus also on small and medium enterprises. So we're happy to do that because, as I keep repeating, the climate challenge is the ultimate challenge. We have to respond to that much more quickly than we have been doing. And Susanna has the best view on where are the strengths and weaknesses of the sector, and how can we adjust ourselves quickly to put ourselves in the mainstream of change. And last point I'll make is, thanks to a working relationship that SunX Malta, the organization I'm running, has with WTTC, with Gloria Guevara, we are plugging into the UNFCCC system at the very top level. Gloria is a former cabinet colleague of Patricia Espinosa, who runs that organization. So if you have thoughts, if you have an interest, if you'd like to join the registry that we've created for strategic plans for climate adaptation and change, just tune into this panel. And thank you, Thomas.
Thank you very much. And I wanted to give Deepak Joshi is joining us. I just saw he's running our chapter in Nepal, and he has been on many of our discussions before. He was the former CEO of the Nepal Tourism Board. Welcome, Deepak.
Thank you, Jürgen. Highly respected influencers and dignitaries from our tourism industry. Namaste from Nepal. As we know, tourism from limited destinations to limited activities, it is widening every day, touching almost every countries and communities across the globe. So in this time, many small, new and medium enterprises are coming in. And to address their issues and concern, this WTN will significantly play a very big role. So on this auspicious occasion, I would like to extend a very warm and special congratulations message from the top of the world, from Nepal and from all the tourism fraternity of South Asia. We know since tourism survives and thrives in a large range of supply chain, this is the right time to work for all of us for better tourism, because better tourism only can make better world. So wish you all the best, all the team members. We are together for tourism. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have Robin Richmond, who was actually, she's not joining us now, but she joined us early. I wanted to mention her. She's going to run our interest group for virtual tourism communities. And I invite you to listen to her panel we had just a few days ago with people from Tanzania, from Peru, and from Bhutan. It's a fantastic opportunity to get tour guides busy, even in times of COVID, in having virtual tourism where people actually pay. I thought it was a really good concept she brought up. I urge you to listen to it. I wanted to just welcome also Cuthbert Nekubil. Cuthbert is the chairperson for the African Tourism Board. And right now, we have been teaming up with the African Tourism Board on anything what is African. So welcome, Cuthbert.
Thank you so much, Jürgen. Really appreciate it. And to all my colleagues, it's an honor once again to regroup and meet with you. And as we celebrate the inauguration of the World Tourism Network, the word itself actually elaborates that life is all about connectivity. Life is all about connecting to one another. Jürgen?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. It looks like I've disappeared on your screen. But all in all, we just want to appreciate this great initiative that will bring, all the global players within the tourism sector together. And life, as I indicated, is all about connectivity. It's all about networking. So we really appreciate on this endeavor, and Dr. Taleb as well, really appreciate and acknowledge your presence, and Her Excellency Sheikha. It is an honor once again, Minister, to be with you as we navigate ways on how best we can collaborate in our endeavors towards a rebound or recovery within our sector.
Thank you very much, Cuthbert. And without further ado, I know we're 25 minutes already, but I wanted to extend another very special welcome to Her Excellency Sheika Mai Bint Mohammed Al Khalifa. I hope I pronounced this okay, from Bahrain. Yes. And she is the candidate for the UNWTO, for the World Tourism Organization. It's really an honor and pleasure. I know you must be extremely busy preparing for the election and for the launch to be with us. Welcome. I think you need to unmute your microphone. Your microphone is muted.
Your microphone, Sheikha Mai. Microphone. Your microphone, your microphone. Your microphone, we can't hear you. You just have to press the button. اكبسي على الزر ستي. Just where it says up on the screen. Yes. Yes. Not yet, no. Not yet.
If I can send her a message on this, so to unmute microphone. Ask to unmute, maybe it would.
It's not muted.
Okay, well, while we get this technical worked out, let me introduce the rest of the panel, and then we see when Her Excellency gets the microphone on. My red light should turn green, so I'm sure we get this resolved. On our panel today, we also have Dr. Taleb Rifai. We have Dr. Walter Mzembi, who was a candidate for UNWTO Secretary General at the last election. And he was also, I believe, one of the longest serving tourism ministers in Africa. And for a short time, he served also as the foreign minister for Zimbabwe. He's joining us from South Africa. We have Alain St.Ange. Alain is one of our co-chairs and has been with rebuilding from the very beginning. He is also was the former Minister of Tourism for the Seychelles. We have Vijay, who introduced himself already, from Singapore, probably the best expert in regards to aviation you can find on the globe. We have Professor Geoffrey Lipman, who had the microphone a few times. I don't have to repeat this. And we have Cuthbert Nkubi. Sorry. And I think Her Excellency is trying to get the microphone situation worked out. I don't know what type of computer you have, but there she is. Okay. And now we can hear you, I think.
Is it okay now?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Is it okay now?
We can hear you.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
Oh, well,
Always the
very
Zoom
much.
meeting is not practical. The Zoom meeting is always not practical. I'm glad to meet all of you and thank you very much for your support. It's my honor and pleasure to be with all of you. And thanks again for everybody. Thank you, Dr. Taleb, for your beautiful words. And I hope we can continue working together in the most important field. And after the crisis, it will be a challenge to, to develop something strong and clear vision to survive.
And thank you very much. And just a little bit for those that don't know you yet, you have an impressive history, and maybe you can tell us in your own words in regards to the cultural words. I think there are 3 UNESCO heritage sites in Bahrain, quite amazing.
You know, I managed to list 3 World Heritage Sites. It was inscribed 2005, 2012, 2019, and all of us know that it's very important the link between culture and tourism. Cultural tourism is always attract people, and we also focus on the creative industry. Right now, we promote a small industry made in Bahrain. It's initiative. We will announce it soon, and we focus on the craft and small industry to develop a new line and to attract people. And on the other hand, a good relationship with the private sector to support our project and the infrastructure for cultural tourism. We managed to encourage a lot of banker to support us, and even the Perling Bath. It's a huge project, 3 kilometer downtown in Muharraq, and it will upgrade the whole area. It will attract tourism. We managed to survive and have the fund from the Islamic bank from Jeddah. So if we work together, we can survive and encourage more people to support our sector and to develop infrastructure for cultural tourism and for small industry and to attract the whole world to visit us. And right now we manage to pass the right message to our neighbor, the regional tourism, and even the people from our area. They never visit the site, museum, or downtown in Muharraq or Manama. We managed to encourage them by creating festival and a new way to add something new and to survive and to continue. Even if, during the crisis with the COVID, it was not easy, but we managed to attract them and to bring them together with us and to develop something solid and promising. So I hope we can work together always and focus on the most important vision of UN in the field of sustainable tourism and sustainable and on the other hand to control the climate change. You know, we have also our part, and it was very nice to listen to Mr. Geoffrey and his mission in this field.
Thank you very much. And maybe we can take a round and see what points are everyone's mind. Of course, as a Secretary General for the United Nations World Tourism Organization is a tremendous responsibility. And everyone in the world, of course, will be looking at you to solve their crisis. And crises are going on, of course, everywhere in the world. Maybe we can take a round and start with Dr. Taleb Rifai, who I think has most of the experience running an organization, running the World Tourism Organization. What your input is on the future of UNWTO and how to go about looking at the new normal, what many people call it, in the tourism industry. Taleb.
Thank you so much. I'll try to listen to Geoffrey's advice and my daughter's advice in saying what I want to say. But the whole international system is put at test now. I believe that this new COVID has brought in opportunities as well as crisis. The word crisis and the word opportunities in Chinese language are the same word. But what I want to say here is that the entire system is put at test. We are experiencing a new world altogether. And we need to look into this, how to rebuild this new world. I know that it's not easy to talk about it like this, but the UN altogether, the EU, the Arab League, the AU, altogether, we don't hear their voices again anymore because the system itself is not operating properly. So let's not blame everybody that's there now. The system needs to be revisited. I completely agree with this. We need to rebuild it from bottom up. And that's why this network is very important, because it's a network of minds and people and interests of small people like you and me who are contributing with their thoughts and with their intentions to build a better world. That's why UNWTO has a very important task to fulfill now. UNWTO today is silent on many things, while WTTC, as you mentioned, led by a wonderful woman as well, Gloria Guevara, is doing a great job in filling that gap. We need now to bring the world together in some way. It's not enough to have every country on its own to develop its good protocols and its good procedures for running in the COVID thing. What we need to do more than that is bring these countries together into one system. We're very confused. I have my children coming to visit me from Dubai. Each one of them some of them are allowed to come, some of them are not allowed to come, because the system between UK, Spain, United States and Spain, Canada and Spain, Abu Dhabi, Dubai and Spain are different. Each one of them is operating in a different way. We need somebody to bring all of these systems together and make sure that we are all one human community. That's by far much more important than perfecting our own systems where we are. I wanted to say this and then move from this point on to see what others have to say. Now, I want to say a word or two about Sheika Mai because I happen to know her as a person. She's a very modest person. She may not be the best to communicate in English language, but I tell you, she's a wonderful lady. And she was not fair in what she said about herself. She's now the president of the Unesco Center for the Middle East and North Africa. She's done a great job in Manama, Bahrain. If you ever happen to go there, you will see how she revived the entire community there. The local community there is all around her. All the paths, the Pearl Path, for example, is a path that wherever it goes, it creates energy and makes people alive again with all kinds of working relationships. She has a great experience, and I'm sure her connections worldwide and her ability to bring in funds, particularly for projects, is incredibly important. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taleb. And maybe we can go to South Africa to Walter Mzembi. Walter, I think, has an experience like no one else because he was in the same position fighting for the job and running for the job of UNWTO Secretary General at the last election. He was also one of the longest serving ministers of tourism in Africa, and he dealt with UNWTO and with the election process intensively. And now here we are again.
He was a foreign minister also of his country.
The foreign minister, yes. Welcome, Walter.
Thank you, Eugen. Before I go to issues relating to the UNWTO, I just want to congratulate you for your visionary conception and leadership of this World Tourism Network. I think it was long overdue. We have representation of government, obviously, in the UNWTO, the big league under WTTC, and there was nothing really standing in the gap for the small to medium enterprises. So this is a very welcome initiative, and I'm happy that it's bringing together all the minds and brains that have established a legacy of accelerated growth in the tourism sector, at least up to 2019. And we are here collectively to defend our legacy of open borders, open skies, of accelerated growth in both arrivals and revenue. And it can only be this team that is meeting today under the patronage of Taleb Rifai, and I've seen Geoffrey Lipman and many other luminaries that were part of our decade of growth in the tourism sector on this platform. So I hope we can build something for the small to medium enterprises that can unleash serious growth and recovery of the sector. But having said that, of course, many of you would recall that I'm the person who tested the rules and regulations around the election of a Secretary General of a UNWTO to the limit. I tested it from the very beginning until to the General Assembly
I'm
itself.
sorry, Walter, would you mind maybe getting closer to the microphone or turn it up a little bit? You're a little bit hard to understand, and I know what you're saying is very important, so we want to hear
it. Okay.
Come out of the water, Walter.
The scene behind you is beautiful.
Right, thank you so much. Yeah, I hope you can hear me now. And I was just saying, I happen to be a case study.
I can see your wonderful wife behind you.
Thank you. I happen to be a case study of perhaps what should have happened after 2017 that we had agreed upon in Chengdu. We agreed that I would step down from challenging Zurab at the plenary of the General Ballot or General Assembly as we had envisaged from Zimbabwe, on the proviso that the institution itself was going to embark on reform. And I doubt that that exercise was honored beyond the election of our incumbent into office. So we are dealing with an outstanding matter on the necessary or the necessity of reforming the UNWTO, which I think because of the absence of institutional memory has not been taken up. So I would hope that as we discuss this, we get away from personalities and focus essentially on the mischief in the room. The mischief in the room is any organization, just like political systems, needs to be refreshed by reform. If you don't reform it, it goes flat like a dead battery. And what we have right now is a flat battery in that institution because we have not applied the necessary reforms that we agreed upon in Chengdu as a precondition for my stepping down to give Zurab an opportunity to lead the organization. I have no doubt in my mind that we are all seized with watching what is taking place in the United States, the current elections in the United States, which have not been wrapped up because one of the candidates is not honorably conceding. And this I think rightfully so, because if you believe that the system is cheating you, everyone in the world has an opportunity and a right to challenge results. But that also brings even our quasi-government institutions under spotlight as they hold their own elections. Because one of the major victims, like Taleb said, of COVID-19 has been multilateralism. Multilateralism has virtually collapsed because nation states are now more inward-looking. They've been inward-looking. Lockdowns simply mean what they mean. You lock each other out of existence, and therefore our arrivals dropped to nothing in the tourism sector. So did our diplomacy, because every nation was focusing on its own act. So we are at that stage now where we need to bring multilateralism back into focus, like it was in the world before the advent of COVID, like it was even in these other intergovernmental institutions that Taleb was talking about before the advent of COVID. Also brought under spotlight by COVID is the issue of governance itself. And many of you would recall under the ATB, or the auspices of the ATB, we're looking at issues like COVID governance, because many dictatorships in the world, they've taken advantage of this COVID to entrench themselves and to stifle.
ATB is African Tourism Board.
Yes,
For those that,
to stifle freedom of expression and other things. And we see that even in multilateral institutions. So it's a time for the world to reinforce, reform, to recalibrate back to where we were when multilateralism was flourishing, and to rebuild our sector on the back of those principles. So I don't want to be tempted to discuss a personality here. I think the mischief is actually in the absence or lack of commitment of maybe the current Executive Council and the general membership of the UNWTO to follow up on the commitments made in Chengdu that the UNWTO must reform itself. You reform or you die, the proverbial death of the dinosaur. So whilst I welcome the candidature of our Khalifa, which is good because we want to test the democracy inside the UNWTO. She has to have all her antennas out for what the system may actually cheat of own victory because of the absence of reform in the institution itself. So we welcome your candidature, Madam. And I think it would be nice to have a lady at the UNWTO as much as we have a lady at the WTTC, so we can see you tango to new heights and the disruptive change in the sector. So thank you very much, but good luck.
Thank you very much, Cuthbert. And Your Excellency, every time you wanted to say something or cut in, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll keep on going through the panel. And I wanted to hear from Alain St.Ange from the Seychelles, who also was a candidate for UNWTO. And maybe without going back to the problems he personally had, but I would love to get his views on how he sees the situation currently at UNWTO, what he sees in the future as UNWTO emerges to the new normal and so forth. Welcome, Alain.
Thank you very much, Jürgen. It's a real pleasure to be joining this panel today. It's a real pleasure because if we are all gathered, it is because we all believe in tourism and the importance of tourism. We know, and COVID has made that very plain to all of us. COVID has showed us that when tourism collapses, the whole world economy collapses with it. Today, we find the difficulties of the aviation world because of the lack of tourism. When people are not crossing borders for tourism, for the sake of visiting, which is what tourism is all about, we find that the world economy goes to a standstill. This is why it is very important, as we look at the new elections for the UNWTO Secretary General, we must also look at what we are looking for. Today, and I salute the one who spoke just before me, former Minister Mzembi of Zimbabwe, and also the chairperson of the African Tourism Board who spoke ahead. We must sit down as Africa to say, between two candidates that are coming, what does Africa see for Africa in that quagmire that is in front of us? We know that we need to be doing something. Otherwise, again, this opportunity will pass by us and we will sit there lamenting for the next 4 years. The world of tourism is very clear. It is today not what it used to be. As I salute the minister from Bahrain who's put her name forward to be the next Secretary General, and she comes with a lot of experience because we know that she also represents today the world of culture in her part of the world. Without culture, we will not have tourism because tourists come to discover from each of our different countries what does culture mean. And without people, we don't have culture. So it's a good format to see a minister coming in with the strength of culture. But I'd like today to appeal, and what I say for Africa, I also say for the South American states, for the islands of the Pacific or the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Tourism is no more the same. We need a development agenda to be attached to whoever takes over the world of tourism. And that development agenda must say tourism with development. And there we need to see that we have not seen for the last 4 years, where tourism positions itself to lead us, to lead the world out of this stagnation that has taken place because of lack of tourism. It is not just say that we will start welcoming tourists again. We have to find a way where we will piggyback development to the world of tourism, which is why it is very important. The person who will sit as the Secretary General of the UNWTO must come out with a clear statement that tourism must lead the development so that the economies of our respective states see itself progressing. It is not business as usual. The new normal comes with a lot of obstacles. And how do we pull it out? And we must never forget that when tourism is working, we are all happy. But we need leadership when there is a lack of tourism and a lack of development taking place. And it is this leadership that we are not seeing. And the leadership that needs to show the world that we are here. When there's a problem, we are able to move to it. I really believe that Africa needs today satellite offices of the UNWTO, as has been said over and over again by African leaders. We need to see ourselves closer to Madrid by having satellite offices. What is good for Africa is good for the rest of the world. And we really need to say, why has it not happened? We need that to happen, and we are hoping that the next SG, and if it is the minister from Bahrain that leads it, we must find a way for the world to come together and for the world to truly believe that they are represented in the world of tourism by this SG who sits in Madrid. I salute everybody. Thank you, Jorgen, for making this possible. It is taken often as lightly, but what you are doing today, you are rallying tourism people together to pave the way for the world of tourism to see a better tourism industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alain. And it's all about, like Starr is saying, it's doing business among friends. We're all friends in this industry. It's a small industry, even though it's a huge industry. And it's an industry I think we all love and we're all passionate about. And that makes it so much fun. I don't know if Her Excellency Mai wanted to jump in specifically, I think, on Alain's statement in regards to satellite offices and assistance for tourism-dependent nations and so forth.
I just want to thank both of them for the beautiful words and to focus on the small countries, small island, and Africa. It's the same priority in UNESCO to focus on Africa, and on the other hand, to bring more investor and to bring more people to the organization. I mean, more countries, cities to join the organization and to attract the whole world with the serious program. I hope we can make it all together, and it's a mission and a challenge. And with the support of all of us, we will be able to survive and to continue.
Thank you very much, Cuthbert. You're running the African Tourism Board, and I know the African Tourism Board, similar to what we were here at World Tourism Network, started with an idea, and I was very much involved in this idea, and I'm so proud and so happy where African Tourism Board is heading now, and you're in charge of this organization. And Africa, as Her Excellency said rightfully, is so important in the chain of tourism. There's so many nations actually dependent on the tourism industry, specifically island nations like where Alain lives, the Seychelles. I think the main industry is tourism, right, where you are. So, Cuthbert, what is your wish list from a new UNWTO Secretary General? Where do you see Africa stand in regards to tourism? How can Africa come together? Because it's a country with 50-some countries and a continent with 50-some countries. How can you bring all of this together?
Thank you so much, Jürgen and Your Excellency. Look, 2020 has experienced the worst negative impact on our travel and tourism sector. That brought our tourism economics to a standstill with a total lockdown that followed the trend of the virus. The economic impact that did not spare the sector that contributed about 10.3% of the total percentage of the total gross domestic product that is worldwide. Therefore, as African Tourism Board, we have always and we will still advocate for a more cohesive, a well-coordinated approach that will actually fast-track our recovery and activated pace of the tourism sector. This widespread impact must prompt all stakeholders to consider policies that will help to restrain, and UNWTO being the custodian of our tourism sector, we are looking for a more practical, a more robust, a more transparent, especially within the issues of the elections that we are facing now. It is so sad that we have seen a disintegrated and most probably misdirected organization that should be the custodian of this sector. They should be at the forefront of saying how best can we bring our efforts together as the global community. It's so sad that Africa has always been labeled and always regarded as an afterthought in all our engagements. I have served within the UNWTO as the board member for almost 3 decades. And I realized that the focus, especially now of late, it's not about bringing Africa to the equal playing grounds within the global community. So our advocation is to say, amongst the 54 member states in Africa, it is high time for us to speak with one voice, identify a candidate driven by the will and the passion to make sure that tourism, I actually concur with Alain when he says that we need development agendas that will position the sector to be the economic drive of our global community. So therefore, it is an honor to have Her Excellency Sheikha to stand as the candidate. And we will definitely advocate and support her candidates to make sure that we have a positive change. We have said in Africa, when you look at our economies, especially men who have failed to drive the positive agenda, let's support our ladies to be at the forefront and let's rally behind them so that we have a positive impact towards our global community. That goes beyond tourism. We're looking at climate change, which is one of the greatest viruses that has actually spread across the globe. We are saying, let us talk with one voice. The global, climate change that has impacted, especially in Africa. I have said what affects United States, what affects China, it will affect the global community. What affects Africa, it affects all of us. So therefore, we need to have a more integrated approach on how best to deal with these issues that we are facing today.
Thank you very much, Cuthbert. And I see that Amenol is raising and from, I think, from Ghana. Let's put the question back a little bit before we go and hear from all the candidates, but it's definitely noted. Please keep your hand up and we'll get to you. So I'm not ignoring you, but I'd like to hear, if possible, from Vijay. Vijay is our aviation guy, and he's been in this industry. I've seen him at every major and not so major aviation conference. He's been instrumental for Etihad Airways for many years. He knows the global industry. He knows Africa because you're originally, I think, from Mauritius. And let's hear from you. Welcome, Vijay.
What time is it at your end, Vijay?
No, it's a very reasonable time, 6 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
No, but thank you, Jürgen. And I echo the sentiments expressed by everybody who's spoken so far in terms of saluting you for working hard to take this initiative to where it is today, to be able to actually bring people who are concerned and interested in travel and tourism to come together and basically share and build up a better future for it. Because for me, essentially, it's we must first and foremost wake up to the fact that the new normal requires new mindsets and new solutions. And beyond innovation and digitalization, there's an ever increasing need to create a safe, secure, and more socially, environmentally, and economically sustainable travel and tourism model. I'd like to probably take a few minutes just to share two thoughts, which and again, it's probably in the tone of the plain talk session we will have next Thursday, to be candid about some of our challenges, not to sugarcoat them, and because we need to address the real issues. For me, for example, if you mentioned aviation, air transport, we all know, continues to do well. But I think it's doing well because it's driven by need. Air passengers who need to travel, for example, to return home, for medical or family emergencies, for unavoidable business or pilgrimage, will do so as and when they are able to. However, even though it is safe to fly when airlines enforce updated health protocols, being on an aircraft is only a part of the journey. And I believe that the ongoing painful human and economic losses, the unpredictability of COVID-19 and its various waves, the risks of being infected or being in contact with someone who is, the tests and quarantines at both ends of a flight, the risk associated with a positive COVID test and treatment in a foreign country, the risk of a lockdown at either ends of a flight, the length of a flight, the failure of many airlines to refund tickets for non-operating flights, and the enhanced climate change awareness will impact people's desire and ability to indulge in discretionary air travel. Now, business travel will also be impacted for a long time because businesses are suffering, and people like us on this call are embracing the convenience and new opportunities of the cost-effective virtual tools. I therefore do not believe, like some have said, that the biggest hurdles in stimulating international air traffic continue to be border closures and quarantines. Now, the second point, which I think is critical for us to understand, is in a global crisis of confidence, trust is key. And I believe that public and private international organizations involved in travel and tourism highlight their vested interests instead of their trustworthiness when they call on governments to find the right balance between public health concerns and supporting a sector upon which millions of people depend. I'll give you one quote. It actually happens to be from the UNWTO Secretary General, who on 27th of July called for, and I quote, finding the right balance between public health concerns and supporting a sector upon which millions of people depend. And on 18 August, he further stated that, and I quote, "Governments have a duty to put the health of their citizens first. However, they also have a responsibility to protect businesses and livelihoods. For too long, and in too many places, the emphasis has overly focused on the former, and we are now paying the price." End of quote. I commend WTTC for instead addressing the end-to-end traveler journey through its Safe and Seamless Traveler Journey initiative to facilitate a consistent and safe traveler experience, improve the traveler experience while making the traveler journey safer, enable mobility and increase safety and security while always putting the passenger at the very center. However, I must also point out that WTTC seeks to, and I quote, "bring relief and peace of mind to the 330 million people around the world who depend on a thriving travel and tourism sector," end of quote. I disagree there because I think that travel and tourism stakeholders worldwide must also seek to bring reassurance and peace of mind to all those who are worried that travel and tourism may increase the risk of exposure to COVID-19. At the end, nobody really knows how all this will play out, but we must do all we can in a trustworthy way to rebuild confidence in the safety, security, predictability, and positive community value of travel and tourism. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sultan. And yes, Your Excellency, please.
Allowed me to leave the meeting because I have another meeting 1 o'clock in Bahrain time. Is that okay with you?
Sure. Thank you very much. I know we had 45 minutes and we're already at 1 hour and 6 minutes. But thank you so much for staying with us so long. And we hope we'll be in touch. And maybe if there are questions coming up, we can send it to you in writing.
Sure.
And
with pleasure.
Hopefully we can have you again very soon.
Sure. Thank you very much again. Thanks to all of you, and looking forward to see you soon in Bahrain. I hope we don't have the quarantine, and it's always possible to come to Bahrain. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and all the best. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, let's move on to Geoffrey. Wanted to come in. Geoffrey, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks very much, Thomas. I have 2 or 3 things I want to say about our discussion so far this morning. And Taleb, you will wince when you hear me start off by saying I want to try to introduce a note of practicality as well as the enthusiasm that we all have. Because we're all involved in so many web events now. I actually have a second one going on a different computer with 45 students from 30 countries who at this moment, Vijay, are talking about how to make aviation greener. And I'm trying to go, and we all have now this Zoom culture. I think, as we said yesterday, and I don't want to repeat it, this is a great initiative. And it's good that we can exchange views. But if it just becomes a kind of talking shop, I think it will lose its emphasis. And one of the challenges when you get so many people together is that you have so many issues. And I've heard many issues, which I would like to go deeper into with my friend Alain. Is the world economy dependent on tourism? Or is tourism dependent on the world economy? We could have a very long discussion on that issue. I think that we have a critically important potential area that we can change. And that is to get the election of the next Secretary General of the UNWTO postponed in the way that our friend Taleb Rifai and Francesco Frangeli have advocated. And I believe we have only a month to do this. And the only way that I think we could get something practical from this session is if everybody on the session were to support the initiative of Taleb Rifai and Francesco Frangeli, and you, Thomas, were to then send a note, maybe a copy of one of these events, to the Secretary General, say that you're a new organization, but you've been a long time around in travel and tourism, and these are the people who are calling for a deferment, postponement of the election. And I really think it's something that we could agree to do at this session, and it could be done very nicely. We are several hundred stakeholders in the sector who believe in the sector. Some of us have been heavily involved in the international apparatus for the development of tourism. And so I'd like to sort of almost not formally propose it, but recommend that this is something that we do. Because if we don't, my assessment is that nothing will be done. And then I think if you want to go this route, you have to send that same message to every member of the Executive Council of the UNWTO, and you have to ask them to vote their conscience and do the decent thing. And so that's a very firm recommendation. The second thing I want to say is we should not make assumptions about how rapidly our impact will gel in this group. I think it's a perfect group for the new normal, but I can tell you, when Vijay talks about what Gloria is doing at WTTC, or when the G20 asks WTTC to be leading some working groups on the kind of thing you're talking about, it makes me realize that it was precisely 30 years ago, in 1990, that we started WTTC. And I have to tell you, for the first 10 years, we didn't have Zoom. We didn't have modern technology. For 10 years, it was a battle to even get people to accept that travel and tourism brought in the business travel world and trade and all of those entities, and that it was a significant part of the world economy. And I mean, certainly when I left after 10 years, people were using the figures, but they were skeptical about them still. Now, after 30 years, it's become part of the system. So I think if we're going to have an influence, we have to be very clear it's going to be a long time. We have to have one or two of these introductory sessions, and then I strongly believe that you need to focus them into sort of meaningful events where we can take a subject. Vijay's subject requires days to go through and to analyze and to go back and forth and come out with any conclusions. So I think the one conclusion that I'd like to ask us to agree to is that you will send a message to the Secretary General of the UNWTO, copy to Executive Council members, telling them there's a very interesting stakeholder group for very logical and decent reasons, and I'm not taking a position on any candidature here. That's the process. It's getting a process which gives a chance to get some decent candidates to come out of the woodwork, to be there to lead the organization at a very, very critical juncture in human development, not just tourism development, in human development. Sorry to rabbit on a little bit, but I hope that it's something that people could kind of agree to, and then we might make a difference. Otherwise, we'll just have had a talking session.
Geoffrey, I couldn't agree more with you, and this is an interest group we can immediately add, and we can contact those that have watched this session. We can contact our member get this response within a few days, and we do this. This is definitely something I think we could easily do, and we could do very quickly. And of course, with the help of you and Taleb and everyone else, this is a good way. And the interest groups are exactly what you're referring to. These where we get deeper into subjects, and those people that are interested in this subject to discuss it further are part of this interest group. And that's hopefully how we can move forward. But,
Jürgen.
Yeah.
Yes, Taleb.
Yes, I think Zoltan Samouji can add something to this, because Zoltan was Deputy Director General of UNWTO for a long time. If you would allow him to say a few words, that would be good.
Actually, I sent him a private note, so I don't know if you saw that, if you wanted to say something. So I'm glad you do. Welcome. I haven't seen you for a while. Last time, I remember when we sat in the limo in Zimbabwe, going to the UNWTO conference, and the guy was going like 80 miles an hour through the city. I never forget that ride, but we both survived it. So welcome. I think you have to turn your microphone on. Zoltan, your microphone is off. No.
Your microphone, Zoltan. Zoltan is from Hungary, of course.
Your microphone is still off.
And now?
Yeah, here we go. Now we can hear you.
Yes.
Good. Very good morning, evening for everybody here. Thank you very much for having the possibility to be with you, this very important meeting. But I would like to say, to join to Geoffrey's position and Taleb's position, that it's really a crucial moment in the life of the world tourism, including the World Tourism Organization. It's very true that the new elections running for the candidacy of the Secretary General in the next meeting of the Council is a very important moment. But I have to say something to you. This is not illegal to have this meeting in January, but very unusual. That's what I wanted to take it out. It's very important to know. So we cannot say that it's illegal, because what is said in the document, which was prepared by myself and some other colleagues under the leadership of Mr. Rifai, the first meeting of the Council in the year of the General Assembly has to elect or to select the SG for the next General Assembly, which should be held in the headquarters of the organization in Madrid. But it doesn't say a correct and fixed date. I was happy to serve in the organization for 8 years. It happened once in my life to have the first meeting of the Council in January. Anytime it was always in May or late April or June, depending on the decision of the EC. What Geoffrey said is very clear. We can talk about, but the decision is in the hands of the Council's members. They have to decide on to propose the postponing of the Council to a later time, which is logically May or April, or even it's maybe in the spot of the General Assembly. But I think so we have to urge the members of the Council to have a position, and they have to push the Secretariat to do it, because if they don't do it, it will never change. So that's a very important moment. I think so we have to reach the members of the Council with this message and to make it clear why is it better to have in May, why is it a more fair situation for the selection process, and how to do it and how to go ahead. That's a very important moment. We cannot lose the opportunity to do it personally or in writing or in any ways to reach the members of the Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And of course, time is really in the essence here. With the holiday season coming up in just a few days, there's not a lot of time to do anything. And thanks, Zoltan. Hope you're doing well. And
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We didn't hear from Deepak yet. He's And maybe Deepak, you can give us a little bit, maybe you left, hang on. Deepak, are you still with us? I think he left, he had to leave us, sorry. So we leave Deepak out. I also noticed earlier we were trying, just see if he's here.
And just again, just as a follow-up to what Mr. Lipman, Professor Lipman has just indicated now, I think it would be prudent, especially looking at the time frame, that most probably what we can do is to create a memo that would then be signed with our participants, and we escalate it to the UNWTO. I think that will also assist in expediting the process from our side.
Yeah, I think this experience, Taleb, you would know better how the system works.
Yes, I agree with what Zoltan said 100%. I think the decision is in the hands of the Executive Council now. But what I said in the open letter with Franjali is very clear, that this process did not pass through very easily. It was the convening of FITUR in Madrid that prompted to make the meeting in January. Now FITUR has been postponed to May. So it makes more sense to postpone the elections to May, because there is no time for anybody to run now, or anybody to lobby now. We have 2 weeks of Christmas vacations. Now, I just want to be fair about this. It's not supporting anybody against anybody else. Just have a fair and transparent elections is very important in this place and time. I feel responsible particularly, and I'm saying this in front of Walter Mzembi and Alain St.Ange, because I supported the election of the current Secretary General very much, because I was supporting the process, not because I was supporting a person. The process has to be correct. If the process is not correct, the results will never be correct, as has been proven. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taleb. So let's bring this up. We can talk privately how we set it up, and we set it up and see where it goes. But Geoffrey, thank you very much for your input.
Yeah, Thomas, can I just come back very quickly? I propose specifically that a memo is developed today. It doesn't have to be long. It can cross-reference the open letters, number one. It can indicate that we have people who have been candidates in the election, who have been the management of the organization. And we can say that there are over X number of people who are calling on the Secretary General and the Executive Council to defer this process in line with the open letters from the only former living Secretary Generals. And I think we can do that today, and we can send it off to Secretary General and the Executive Council. And then I think we can have a small campaign. I'm very happy to be involved in that. We promulgate this around the international community. This will only pressure.
Geoffrey,
Vijay wanted to say something. Jürgen.
Yes.
Go ahead.
If I can just quickly, I think this is the letter which was sent by the two former Secretary Generals are very compelling, and I definitely agree with Geoffrey's point that we can't just sit back and watch this happen. The process is flawed, and we feel it's unfair. There's nothing to do with candidates. There's nothing to do with who is going to win ultimately.
Exactly.
The process is fair. I understand that today, the ministers of member states of UNWTO received a letter inviting them to Executive Council in January. So I think it's important that we put a very urgent memo up, stressing the fact that, firstly, in this new normal, tourism have more urgent matters to address in their own countries, and that should be the priority of everybody, and that time should be given for the election process to take its normal course, the habitual course, which is a May election or a May decision. But I think we should also, beyond addressing this to the Secretariat or Secretary General and to the Executive Council members, we should also touch all the member states of UNWTO. The reason I say this, and also let it be known to the general public, because here we're touching a process complaint, and we want to make sure that the Secretariat will do the right thing and postpone the meeting. But they should know that if they do not, then at the next general meeting of the organization, the countries will actually put the Executive Council to task on their recommendation, which violated that principle of fairness and governance, so to speak. So I think if we enlarge the audience to receive that urgent need to respect fairness and governance, I think we should put everybody on notice that if they do not do the right thing now, we basically will have a second bite of the cherry at the AGM down the road. Thank you.
Yeah, Thomas, one last thought. If you can create a name like the Campaign for Fair UNWTO Elections, something short and snappy, and I think in addition, I support everything Vijay has said. I think we should send a copy to the Secretary General of the United Nations. The UNWTO is now a UN agency, and it does not want to be seen to be doing anything in the context of the UN system, which somehow marks it out in a negative fashion. And we should construct this as a positive message. The message should say, we are urging you. We, in the interest of logic, of decency, of response to the crises that we know we're facing, It should be something along those lines. Very simple, very straightforward, and reference the letter from Taleb and Francesco.
Oh, perfect. Can you help with this, Geoffrey?
Of course, yeah. I don't like to shoot things out there that I'm not prepared to stand.
No, let's do it, and we can confer how we can set this up and get it out, maybe with you, Vijay, and Taleb, and Sultan, and move to this. But I think it's a wonderful idea.
May I suggest that Geoffrey starts with drafting something and passes by Vijay and then by us all. I think that's a good idea.
Hey, it's just like being back in UNWTO, Taleb.
That's right. We know how to work together, don't we, Geoffrey? Yes, of course, okay. Geoffrey.
No, thank you very much. I'm all for it. We're a little bit over time, but I know we had some people earlier raising hands, and I wanted to just give the chance if anyone wanted to cut in. Doesn't have to be on this particular issue, but on WTN altogether, or on UNWTO, whatever is at heart, feel free to raise your hand. You can.
I see a message, Jürgen. I see a message from somebody called Jan, who wants to contact me.
Jan? Jan?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Jan.
I'll be more than happy. Yes.
Okay. Some background noise.
Taleb, it's me who sent you the message.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. But
I'd like to stay in contact with you.
Yeah, and also for everyone to know, we're all about communication. It is very easy. If you go to WTN.travel, click on contact. If you have a message for everyone else, say it in there. We'd be happy to do this. Sometimes people don't want to give out email address just in the open, not because of your particular email, but it's in the open, and it's open spam. But we have a form on WTN.travel. So if there is a message for Taleb from anyone, or we'd be happy to forward this. And eventually what we're actually doing, we're offering we're going to offer email addresses under WTN.travel that would forward to your own email. So you have better control over it. So
thank you, Jürgen. Thank you very much.
I have no problem in making my email public to everybody.
Okay.
No,
my email is simply mine. My name, talebrifai@gmail.com.
Wonderful, great. Taleb, one word or with a dot?
I'm sorry?
Taleb dot Rifai or Taleb Rifai in one word?
Taleb Rifai in one word, or lower.
Okay, great.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
We keep in contact.
Thank
Sure.
you. We have Emmanuel, I think, from Ghana, right?
Yes, yes, you're right. Okay, thank you very much, Jürgen, for putting this together. My question actually goes to Her Excellency Khalifa. She's not here, but we are told you'll be able to send all questions to her to try and answer. My question has to do with her plans for women and youth if she's selected as the CJ, because Africa has the youngest population. But if you look at tourism, we are not paying much attention to getting the youth involved. But we believe that tourism has the potential to actually deal with poverty and youth unemployment. And we also have a lot of women involved in tourism. But if you look at women in tourism, they are more of the grassroots. When you climb up, you don't see women in leadership. And it has to do with training and capacity building, which unfortunately, UNWTO has not helped Africa in that regard. The only time that I remember we had some sort of training was 2017 under the auspices of our Honorable Rifai, Taleb, which I'm happy to say I was part of it. It happened in Accra. So I wanted to find out what are her plans for the youth, for women, and for training and capacity building for Africa. So that is basically my question.
Yeah, Emmanuel, this is a very good question.
Jürgen.
Okay, Jürgen, may I say something? We have with us Hiba.
Oh, Hiba
can speak for Her Highness. But I want to say something here before Hiba starts, please, because Emmanuel is raising a very important point here. Thank you, Emmanuel, for being with us. I believe that women play a very important part in UNWTO. The last report that we did with UN Women was in 2016, and it proved that 72% of the workforce in tourism was women, but only 16% are in leadership position, which is something that needs to be ratified. That's besides the youth part. Youth part is very, very important because most of the working people in tourism are youth, yet we don't talk about them that much. So Hiba, the floor is yours.
I muted myself. Hello, sorry. Well, thank you very much, everybody. And once again, I apologize on behalf of Sheika Mai because she had a prior commitment, but I work very closely for her. I'm her advisor for tourism and culture for many years now. And please allow me to intervene on the comment regarding her positions with Africa. I think in the beginning, she made this point that we are really guided by the strategic objectives of UNESCO, as well as many other UN organizations in prioritizing work in Africa, as well as islands and small states. This is really a priority in her campaign, and we really are working very hard to now attract, communicate with some funding agencies to be able to support projects in Africa. We believe that one of the main problems that the UNWTO currently have is the limitation of funding and the complete reliance of funding on membership without any additional funds that are being made available to the member states. So in terms of small and medium-sized enterprise, I think the initiatives that we've started here in the region with regard to enabling community-based tourism and also in enabling crafts and creative industries, we really want to take the lead from Bahrain, although a small island, to a bigger continent like Africa. So this is really very high priority with us. And it is very clear in her statement of policy. The second point that I really would like to comment on, which is the point of the speaker before regarding youth. Also, we have quite a big focus on education, and we are planning to interact with a number of international corporates that we primarily want to attract to become affiliate member with UNWTO. And then these corporates could offer internship schemes, training schemes for, again, Africa and islands and small states. So the 2 points that you raised are of great importance. We've already reached out to some NGOs in Africa, like Equality in Tourism, which is really doing quite a bit of work in Tanzania with the farmers, with women farmers who are working closely with the hospitality industry in Tanzania. So we are in contact with them, and we are really now investigating what are the needs of such NGOs in order to continue our support for them. So I don't want to talk longer on behalf of Her Excellency, but you know, Africa is a big priority for us. We want to make tourism works for those who needs it the most, and to have an image and a position in the UNWTO that has not been highlighted in the past. So thank you very much, everybody, for this and allowing me to speak on Her Excellency's behalf.
No, thank you, Eva. And I should have, I didn't see you online, and apologize, because I was kind of looking for you, because I know if it wasn't for Heba, we would have not been able to organize this panel today. And thank you very much for all your hard work.
May I make a suggestion, Jürgen, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think anybody in Africa that has any proposals for any particular projects or any organization to work with should direct that to Heba or to Sheikha Mai.
Yes,
directly.
I will just leave my
I think
email.
they're quite open. Yes, they're quite open. Yes,
please,
thank you.
Reach out to us, especially we are looking for, you know, any direct contact in Africa. I would really encourage you to get in touch with me if you have an idea of what are these projects, what are the needs of African nations from UNWTO to support them. So I'll just be leaving here my my email.
Yeah, and if you don't have it, again, feel free to put it on our form, and we'll be happy to forward this immediately.
Jürgen, I also think that the point raised here about non-dependency on just membership fees is very important. We need to get extra funds. We need to get funds from other donors, from other sources, just like UNESCO is doing, just like all other UN organizations. UNWTO is the only organization that's so dependent on its membership to support its budget, while we should be open for other private sector inputs into the budgets of UNWTO. Thank you.
And that probably, Taleb, becomes even more important in COVID crisis, because every dime is needed to work on a domestic fund for many countries. So thank you for bringing this up. But we're still open. If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. Now you still have a chance to do this.
I see Fiona Geoffrey here as well. Fiona is a wonderful lady as well. Could we have her say a few words, please, Jürgen?
Absolutely, Fiona. I just see you're here. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. It's really nice to see some long-standing friends in the industry, and thank you, Taleb.
Good to see your beautiful face again.
Yeah, no, it's nice to be back. Just to say on a number of fronts, addressing the point about supportive of youth and girls and women in Africa. I run an organisation called The Drop that is very committed to exactly that, and in fact it supports 12 out of 17 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So if anybody wants to get
just a drop.
Yeah, if anybody wants to get in touch in that regard, then I'm very happy to explore avenues where we can collaborate and support. I come from, and I have a lot of sympathy with what Geoffrey said earlier, I come from a perspective that likes to see practical outcomes for initiatives, because I do think there is a lot of talk in our industry, and actually it's trying to transfer some of that into constructive action. So that's where a lot of my energy and focus goes. But at a certain point in time, I did take part and was a very proud member of the World Committee of Tourism Ethics. And I think a lot of what's being discussed today is about good governance, transparency, good ethics. And therefore, I am very happy in whatever capacity as a former member of that organization I was at the UNWTO to lend my support to the postponement of the election in order to get it done in a way that is appropriate and reflective of the principles that the organization should be standing for. So however that reflects itself, I'm very happy to give it the support that is required.
And ethical. Thank you so much, Fiona. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Fiona. We have Menelik Eric raising a hand. Go ahead, Menelik. Let us know where you're from.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Where are you calling us?
Oh, thank you. Actually, it's not Menelik. Menelik is actually my staff. This is Mrs. Edna Liatu Hogan. the CEO of the Tanzania Chamber of Commerce in Europe. We are based in Dublin, Republic of Ireland. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you so much again for an amazing session. We are learning a lot, you know, there's so much to take on. And as you know, the challenges that are happening at the moment in the tourism industry, my staff shared the link that we are trying to do a virtual safari, guys. I know it's so scary. So this is happening on the 19th of December, and it will be a perfect early Christmas gift for kids and adults. We have partnered with Zara Tours. As you know, Zara is one of the leading tour agencies in East Africa. And so I would really, really appreciate your support, you know, support in action, because there's so much talking going on in so many conferences you attend. But really, I think if anyone is doing something, we should all try to jump in and support them. And this is for Zara Charity in Tanzania. So please, guys, do share the link, join and register if you can. It's for Zara Charity. They support children in Ngorongoro in Tanzania, and that will be amazing. Thank you so much. That's all I can say.
I hope Hiba is taking notes of all of this. Hiba.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Taleb.
Yeah, just check
I'm
in
here.
the chat.
Yes.
There's a link in the chat area.
Yes, I'm here, and I made the note of this, and we will definitely reach out.
Yeah, and I know you have been very active on our forum, also at African Tourism Board, at a number of events we hosted. So we know where to find you. But thank you for your feedback. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
I don't see any more hands. And we are about 43 minutes over our schedule. So I'm very happy about this, because that means our discussion was worthwhile for all of you to stay on. And I wanted to specifically, again, thank Her Excellency Sheika Mai for taking her time to attend for more than an hour on a 45-minute session. And also wanted to thank Heba, who I didn't mention before, who has been essential in also securing Her Excellency's presence here at this session. I wanted to thank Taleb Rifai.
Thank you, Jürgen, for the invitation. And as you said, I really also need to make an excuse, but I would like to thank everybody for having us. And I have left my email address there so that you can always reach out for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone for attending. And we hope you will attend one of our other upcoming sessions. Just simply go to WTN.travel. and click on the expo, and you will be able to register for all of our upcoming sessions. As I said, this is an active organization. If you wanted to propose local chapters, initiatives, we added one very important initiative today. Please do so, and we welcome this. As I said, we're building this organization from the bottom up and not from the top down. Again, thank you very much for attending. You will be able to see an archive also on WTN.travel, but it's also on worldexpo.travel. And we will live stream this on livestream.travel and eTurbo News for the next few weeks in sequence. And I hope you will tune in, and we'll be active in our initiative. We're all very excited, and I hope you can share this excitement. And from Hawaii, I wanted to say aloha, and thank you again for everyone attending. And please stay safe, and continue to look for a very bright tomorrow, because I think our tourism industry will wake up to something quite different, maybe quite a bit more exciting, and maybe even quite a bit better from what we're used in the past. Thank you to everyone, and good night from Hawaii.